Hey, you. Ever stop to think about the raw, messy reality of how a rebellion ignites?
Yeah, not the big fleet movements.
Exactly. Forget that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, the gut-wrenching choices, the sacrifices that just tear people apart.
The sheer brutal cost paid in the shadows.
Totally. If that kind of deep dive into storytelling resonates with you, definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more.
Hopefully you do.
Today, we're plunging into the emotional core of a really pivotal story. We're going to dissect the final stages of one figure's journey through, well, a galaxy in chaos.
And we're not just, recapping events here. This is about meticulously uncovering the layers of a critically acclaimed narrative, arc by painful arc.
Right.
And this story, it unfolds in a fascinating way. 4 distinct 3-episode chapters.
Yeah, the structure's key.
It really is. Each one marks a significant leap forward in time. Full year, actually.
The whole year between arcs.
Covering the 4 years leading directly into a major turning point for the galaxy.
It's like watching this profound transformation, you know? And the slow burn of an uprising playing out in fast forward, almost.
It allows us to really grasp the weight of time, the weight of experience on these people.
Exactly. And like you said, this structure isn't just some narrative gimmick.
No.
It lets us witness genuine character evolution. We see how those intervening years carve and reshape these individuals.
We're not just told they've changed. You see it. It's etched in their actions, their demeanor, chapter by chapter.
Yeah, you feel it. We're delving deep into their inner turmoil, the very human cost of all this galactic conflict.
And the backdrop isn't just any backdrop, right?
Yeah.
This story is widely seen as a high point within its universe.
Absolutely. So expect complexity, expect real emotional resonance.
Definitely. So let's turn the page to our first chapter, 1 year later. This covers the narratives of Sigrona Tima and Harvest.
Okay.
And this first arc just throws us right into the aftermath of a really significant event, the Ferrix Uprising. Sets up a stark new reality.
Right. It's a year on, and you can still feel the emotional residue of Ferrix hanging heavy.
Oh, yeah.
We find Cassian, and he's more deeply entrenched now in Luthen Rail's clandestine operations.
Taking on increasingly risky missions.
Totally. We even hear whispers about him stealing an Imperial TIE Avenger prototype.
Which is cutting-edge stuff, a serious piece of hardware.
Exactly. It highlights the growing boldness, these early acts of defiance. And you start to detect, maybe, a flicker of something beyond just self-preservation in him.
A reluctant conscience, perhaps. Stirring a little.
Could be. And Bix.
Yeah.
Still bearing those psychological scars from her trauma.
Which were brutal.
But she's also starting to find her place within this same shadowy network, alongside Cassian.
Meanwhile, you've got Mon Mothma on Coruscant.
Right.
Still walking that political tightrope.
Such a dangerous game she's playing. Navigating treacherous Imperial politics.
While secretly funneling vital resources to the rebellion. All under the Empire's nose, supposedly.
We can't forget Dedra Meero and Cyril Karn on the Imperial side.
Oh, definitely not. Their individual obsessions, their ambitions, they're still potent forces.
Driving them within that rigid Imperial hierarchy, setting them on paths that are just bound to collide with the Resistance.
What strikes you immediately in this chapter, I think, is the deliberate pacing, that year-long jump.
Yeah, it signals right away. This isn't about the minute by minute. It's about the big shifts over time.
Exactly. It lets us see these substantial, long-term character arcs unfold. We're not given, exposition dumps about how they've changed.
No, you see it. It's reflected in their choices, their interactions, even just the look in their eyes sometimes.
It's powerful showing, not telling. You really see the impact of what they've been through.
Okay, so moving into our second chapter, this one really zooms in on the theme of escalating commitment and moral compromise.
Right, and you see the consequences of that first year really taking hold now. The timeline marches forward, characters get even more deeply entangled.
The rebellion's becoming more daring, too.
Definitely. We see Cassian's commitment growing through even more perilous stuff, operating on Coruscant itself alongside Bix.
Coruscant! The heart of the Empire! The stakes are just skyrocketing with every mission.
And you can feel the internal battles he must be having, right? As he gets more invested in this incredibly dangerous path.
Absolutely. And the personal risks for Mon Mothma, they also reach completely new heights.
That arranged marriage for her daughter.
It's just a stark, painful illustration of the immense personal sacrifices she's forced to make.
These aren't abstract political moves. These are deep personal wounds, all for the cause.
Yeah, for the greater good, supposedly. And on the Imperial side, Dedra's pursuit gets Well, colder.
Increasingly ruthless. Her ambition seems to be just burning away any ethical concerns she might have had.
And Cyril, still driven by that need to regain favor, that obsessive focus, often kind of tangled up with Daedra.
He just continues his descent, doesn't he?
Yeah. This chapter, it really forces you, the viewer, to confront the uncomfortable realities, the moral ambiguity.
As the stakes rise, the characters are pushed into making these incredibly difficult choices. The lines between right and wrong get really blurry.
You see them having to compromise their values, maybe even who they are, for what they believe is necessary.
It makes you wonder, where are their breaking points? How far will they go?
Which leads us perfectly into Chapter 3. This one dives deep into the brutality of oppression and the spark of defiance.
And this is where things take a particularly dark turn. The Gorman Massacre,
Pivotal, devastating.
an event that just sends shockwaves across the galaxy, leaves an indelible scar on everyone involved.
And we learn Cassian is actually there during this horrific atrocity.
Witnessing it firsthand,
Yeah.
and it acts as this profound catalyst in his radicalization.
Seeing that kind of unbridled brutality, it shatters any remaining illusions he might have had about the Empire.
Yeah, cements his commitment to resistance, no turning back now.
And Mon Mothma's response. A defining moment.
Her public denouncement of the Empire, right there in the Senate halls, extraordinary courage, an incredible act of defiance, which of course forces her to flee Coruscant,
And significantly, Cassian helps her escape.
directly linking his actions to her future role as a leader of the Open Rebellion. It's a crucial connection.
This chapter also marks the introduction of K2SO.
And his origins are just steeped in the brutality of Gorman, initially an Imperial enforcer droid.
His capture, his reprogramming by Cassian, it becomes this powerful symbol.
He's like a literal embodiment of the Empire's cruelty, now turned right back against them, a living monument almost.
And in a stark, almost tragic counterpoint, Cyril Karn.
Cyril. His story reaches its rather unceremonious end during the massacre.
And what's really striking, almost cruel, is that Cassian doesn't even recognize him in his final moments.
Underscoring Cyril's ultimate insignificance, really, in the face of this massive horror, this burgeoning rebellion he tried so hard to crush.
And you can just see how witnessing Gorman, that sheer brutality, becomes a tipping point for so many people.
It's that stark reminder, isn't it? Extreme oppression often just fuels the very resistance it's trying to extinguish.
Exactly. Okay, so finally we reach Chapter 4. The focus here is sacrifice, loss, and the seeds of hope.
This is where many of the character arcs we've been tracking reach their culmination. And the profound cost of this rebellion becomes just devastatingly clear.
Luthen Rael's journey takes such a heartbreaking turn.
He succeeds, right? Acquires that critical intelligence the Death Star plans.
A massive victory, but then capture by Daedra.
Leading to Klaya's agonizing decision, ensuring that knowledge doesn't fall back into Imperial hands. Even if it means
ending Luthen's life. It's just grim irony. His vital contribution might just be erased from the official history.
And Klaya Markey really steps up here, emerges as a central figure.
Her transformation into this key operative, especially given her history with Luthen, that deep, complex past, it's remarkable.
She becomes the critical link, delivering the Death Star intel to the rebellion, carrying this immense burden of loss, of responsibility.
And then there's this surprising, really deeply resonant development.
A child.
Yeah. We learn Cassian has a child with Bix. This revelation, Bix raising their child on Minarau, it introduces such a powerful human element of hope.
Amidst all the darkness, yeah. And it retroactively adds this incredible layer of emotional weight to Cassian's future sacrifices, knowing what he stands to lose.
Absolutely. And Daedra, her downfall has this sense of tragic justice, maybe.
Her unwavering faith in the Imperial system ultimately leads to her imprisonment within that system.
A stark demonstration of its inherent cruelty, its self-destruction. Poetic in a grim way.
And the chapter closes, the whole story closes, with Cassian embarking on that fateful mission to the Ring of Kafrene.
Alongside K2SO.
And that's the moment, the direct connection, the bridge right into the beginning of Rogue One.
Bringing the journey we witnessed completely full circle.
And despite all the loss, all the immense sacrifices we see throughout these chapters, the enduring theme, ultimately, is hope.
But it's not a naive hope, is it?
Not at all. It's hard-won, resilient, forged in the face of unimaginable adversity. It's a conscious act of defiance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into these really pivotal chapters, we've traced this intricate, often painful evolution.
The emotional fallout of conflict, the difficult path of escalating commitment,
The morally gray areas, the brutal realities of oppression.
and ultimately these fragile, persistent seeds of hope, planted through profound sacrifice and, yeah, heartbreaking loss.
This exploration, I think, truly enriches our understanding. It intensifies the emotional impact of what comes next.
Especially Rogue One. Witnessing the personal costs, the agonizing choices made along the way, it gives everything so much more context, so much more meaning.
And it leaves you pondering that fundamental question, doesn't it? Considering the immense personal cost, the moral compromises, what does victory actually mean?
Yeah, in the face of such tyranny.
And how do individual acts of defiance, often just carried out in the shadows, how do they ultimately shape the destiny of an entire galaxy?
It's a lot to chew on.
Definitely a lot to consider. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this deep dive into these crucial chapters.
Yeah, let us know.
Share your insights down in the comments below. If you found this exploration valuable, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into compelling narratives.
Thanks for joining us.